Hello and welcome to another Matchday vlog with the Football Pyramid. You catch up with me at a wet and windy AFC North Kilworth today for their Midland Football League Division 1 clash against Ingles. Killy, in their first crack at Step 6 football, are going steady this term after numerous promotions and a whole lot of progress since their rebirth in 2020. So let's go and get the lowdown on those successes and see what this club is all about. Gary, thank you very much for having me down here this afternoon, buddy. It's a real pleasure to join you. We nearly didn't have a game, which is testament, obviously, to the club staff behind the scenes, the ground staff, to ensure that this one goes ahead. What I wanted to get into was your connection with the club and history with it. Just talk me through it.
Yeah, so ex-player down here in the sort of mid to late 90s under Dave Cheney, playing in the Senior League Prem. Really the adult football from sort of early 2000s started to decline, really. There's no club down here that was really challenging in Leicestershire football. I got involved probably, it was 8 years ago,
Okay.
with a bit of a 5-year plan to try and get the club playing at Step 6. I guess we've achieved that in the 6th year. I'm now just the chairman, having been the manager for 4 years, four emotional years, a couple of promotions. And then really knowing that we've got a lot more work to do, concreting round, another stand to build, extension in the changing rooms. I sort of know then really I've got to take a bit of a back step, move upstairs, and brought in 3 very, very, very good young managers that I'm hoping will stay here for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say there, the history of the club generally, it has been about for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it reformed in 2020, and I understand that you were responsible for a huge part of that.
Yeah, I just thought we needed to go again, really, wipe the slate clean, and really just give ourselves a fresh start. First 8 games were emotional. Played 8, lost 8. I can remember.
A long way since then, though.
Yeah, I can remember being in the changing rooms in Division South West, and we got battered 8-0, and I was about crying. But we stuck with it. COVID came along.
We nearly got one then.
Yeah, you're going to get a slap. COVID came along, and probably, in some respects, allowed us time to probably find some players, because we were at that time just picking up anybody off we could find, just to field a side to stay in the Senior League, what was Division 2 South and West. Then we went re-kicked really with some new players, and then Division 2, we took on Division 2 and actually became the only side in 120-year history of the Senior League to go the entire season winning every game, which we're very proud of.
Wow, fantastic achievement.
That was a big achievement. So we're really, really proud of that Grand Slam season. Then into Division 1. Should have won the league, but got promoted in 3rd because we fielded an ineligible goalkeeper in one game, else we would have actually won the championship.
Did you get points deduction for that?
3 points, deducted.
Well, those are such the fine margins, 3 points. You think one win effectively, isn't it? And those are the margins between 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, clerical error, really. Dual registered goalkeeper, you can imagine the story, can't you?
Yes.
Then we consolidated in the Prem at 10th, and then it really was time for me probably to. I'd done my bit then as a manager. The boys came in and they've just done remarkably well. I wouldn't even want to think what their win percentage is. It's pretty high. I think they lost 4 or 5 games in the Senior League Prem when we got promoted. So dead chuffed with the boys. And they just seem to constantly have this phone book of players. I don't know, we get some injuries. The next thing I know, I'm signing on loads of other lads, and they seem to be very, very active. which is great stuff really for any chairman. And we just leave them to it, and they get on with it brilliantly. And I think one of the big things is how happy the players are down here. It's a great clubhouse, great club, and we're on the up, really, aren't we? So long may that continue.
Absolutely. Well, like you say, you've achieved the short to long term goal with being at step 6 rather.
Yeah.
What's next for AFC North Kilworth?
Never stop looking up, basically. We're going to put a 50-seat stand in. We're just putting the grant through for that. Looks like we've hopefully got a sponsor that's happy to contribute, and we've got a bit of money ourselves that we're gonna pop in to ensure that it gets done. There's always deadlines, isn't there, for ground grading?
Of course, yeah.
But that's going to be with the supporter barrier we've got. It's going to be quite a high stand, so it's going to look pretty decent, really. And it's going to be quite in keeping with everywhere else. And then after that, really, perhaps we'll look at upgrading floodlights, maybe a bit of a covered area behind that goal, because the fans that come down do like to stand behind that goal. It seems to be the banging the boards behind that goal.
Go-to area.
You'll see that today when they're banging the boards.
Yeah, no, look forward to seeing it, to be fair. But like you say, long term, we're at step 6 at the moment. Where do you see this club, for example, in the next 2-3 seasons?
It'd be nice if we could get another promotion. Of course, we'll be in the FA Vars. If we stay in this division, we've got to get that stand up, though. I know sometimes the leagues can make slight discrepancies if you've ordered it and you looks like you're getting it in. So we'll have to talk to them. But it'd be great if we're in the FA Vars next year, and we'll possibly talking to the managers about because ultimately you're paying the players. They're going to want more money if you want better players. So we're going to have to look at more sponsorship. That's an endless thing, really, isn't it? But we're always looking upward. We're never looking down. So the aim is always to try and get promoted. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
no, and I think quite rightly so, because you are going steady on the pitch this season. You've had a couple of games called off sort of in the last couple of weeks. So that it can play nicely into your hands with games in hand above the teams above you. So going into sort of, this Christmas period, it's a busy period in the football calendar. Yeah. And as you go into next year, I think you're quite finely poised, and you are looking up the table, as you say. You're only just outside the playoffs as well. So are we going to get a playoff push out of you this season? Or
I think a lot of this could rest on a couple of the lads further forward. We've got a special lad called Reece Hookway, who's been with us for some time. I think he's probably scored, if I had a look, he's probably played 80 games, scored something like 70 odd goals for us.
Wow.
Going right back. And when we plucked him out of Sunday football, and if he hits form, then we've got every chance, and I very much think he will do around Christmas time.
Well, like I say, if there was a betting market on this, he'd be my first goal scorer then.
He's always my first goal scorer.
I should have spoke to you before I put my money somewhere. But listen, really appreciate you having me down here today. Wish you the very best of luck on the pitch, and the setup as a whole, I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen, and I wish this club the best of luck moving forwards.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Gary.
After our chat with Gary, it's time for the match action. Such has been the poor weather recently, a special mention must go to the ground staff behind the scenes for their hard work to ensure that this one goes ahead. So, without further ado, Killy against Ingles, let's get it.
Okay, so full time down here at AFC North Kilworth, and unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be on the pitch today, Nick. Thank you very much for joining me anyway, mate. I'm sure your head is in a very different place than here. But look, just give me your thoughts on the game, mate.
Yeah, I think it was a scrappy affair. I think you'll probably agree on that. The pitch was heavy with all the rain that we've been having, which is typical for this time of year. And then it was always going to be a game of who could take those half chances and who could capitalise on those mistakes that were bound to happen on a pitch like that. And it wasn't us today. So
no, unfortunately, like you say, I think the opposition were just slightly more dogged than you, especially in the middle of the pitch. They tied you up. They took you to the trenches, and unfortunately for you guys, those were the key moments where the game was won and lost.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's what we've been very good at this year, actually, in terms of those games where it is a battle on pitches like that, where it's a real midfield battle. We've been very good at that this year. And today it just wasn't meant to be. I think, as I say, scrappy goals. But in terms of what we've been about this season, that wasn't really us today, and we didn't really showcase that. So a little bit disappointing, but you have those games in long seasons like this, and we've been sort of Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday every week since the start of the season. So we're missing key lads and legs are tired, but it was a real battle today, I must admit.
No, it really was a real battle, and like you say, conditions like that and a battle like today is probably not going to do your lads any favours if they're fatigued already. But one thing that I can't fault from both sides was the application and the willingness to get stuck in and battle.
Yeah, I think what we've got down here at Kilworth, and I think Ingles have got very much the same, is we've got a really industrial side that even if there are mistakes that are happening, there might be a bad touch, heavy pitch, whatever, we've got lads that will graft for 90 minutes. And it's done really well for us so far this season. Put us into a really good position in the league, which probably many didn't expect us to be in. But in terms of the lads, you can never fault their graft. We might lose today like we did 3-1. We might make mistakes, but you can never fault the effort that they're giving. So.
Yeah, no, and that was clear to see. And I think you've got a clear playing style which you weren't quite able to get into today, unfortunately. But for the season, across the bulk of the season, there's still a lot to be positive about, because it's your first, obviously, crack at Step 6 football.
Yeah.
You're in a really good position, and you are going strong. Apart from today, you are going really strong this season.
Yeah, I think no matter what division you're in, you're always going to have blips. There's going to be very few sides at Step 6, Step 5, Step 4 even, that are going to go on and win every game in a year. You're going to have blips, and as you say, first season in this league, we knew that it was going to be tough. So when you speak earlier about we've got a clear playing style, we needed that this season, because without it, do you know what I mean? You're going to struggle in leagues like this. And I think if you look at the teams that have been promoted from the Leicester Senior League like we were, Ashford the Amateurs came up, would have got relegated but folded. New Parks last year came up, they were in the bottom two. Didn't quite go down. So for us to be where we are is a real achievement. But we do want to do more. We do want to do better, which is always difficult. But
well, that's human nature, isn't it? To want to improve and to want to move forward. But obviously, touching on a chat that I had with your chairman prior to the game, he was letting me in on sort of the infrastructure and the improvements that are going on behind the scenes. How important is that for you as a manager to know that those plans are there to kick the club forward?
Yeah, I think the one thing that Kilworth has got is their committee are unbelievably driven to get this club forward. So when I first came here, obviously we're in Senior League, Premier Division, but I'd watched Kilworth come up through the leagues, and they'd been at sort of Senior League Division 2, Division 1, Premier Division. So you've always seen the work that has gone on behind the scenes. And then when I came here, you can see Gary, who you spoke to before the game, how driven he is. The whole committee with everything like sponsorship, making sure there's good food in the kitchen for people.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
and getting a crowd down here. They really want to see this team improve. and go through the leagues. And when you've got that behind you, it's so easy for me and Sam as managers because we've got everything we need behind us and it's just what we can do on the pitch. So it's very much they deal with everything off the pitch. We've got no worries whatsoever. And then on the pitch, we can sort of do what we want to do. So it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I suppose that makes your job as a manager slightly easier.
Definitely.
There are no easy managerial positions in football, no matter where you play and whatever level you're at. But one thing Gary also said to me was your connection to the game. Obviously, he said you've got like an unlimited supply of players that just come out of nowhere. Just talk to me a bit about your connection and your contacts within the game.
Well, it certainly helps. I think myself and Sam have been around the game a long time. Jordan Cullen Coombe, who we've got in the dugout as well as a coach. We're relatively young, if you can say that, as a management team. So we've still got connections from when we were playing and from when we were coaching and managing elsewhere. So it is a good thing. At the minute, I think we've probably got 9 or 10 injuries, but we've got lads that we can call up and they'll come and, do you know what I mean?
They'll do a job
for us. So it certainly helps. I'd much rather have it if we had 20 lads that were here every week, no injuries. That'd be perfect. You can actually build on something, but it's so unrealistic in today's game.
You got big names in the media like your Guardiolas, your Artetas of this world that stand there and say exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
The only difference between them and you is they've got academies and youth sides and everything that they can rely on, whereas you've got to go out into the market, if you like, and bring players in on a regular basis.
And I think that's key for us, actually getting players in when we need them, because I mean a lot of our lads work in a trade, and every manager at this level will say this: go in away on a Tuesday night to Birmingham when you've got a lad who's an electrician working out in Peterborough, Lincoln or wherever. It's really difficult. So that goes back to that commitment that we were talking about earlier, not just on the pitch but off the pitch. Our players are phenomenal in terms of what they give to the club. And I know that Gary, the chairman, really appreciates it. The committee really appreciates it. So we've got a good thing going on here, and hopefully, not just this season, but over the coming seasons, we can keep building on and off the pitch.
Absolutely agree. But as I say, to wrap up, non-league, certainly within the Leicestershire area, there's a huge non-league scene.
Definitely.
There are some sizable clubs in this area. So what do you think the club has got to do to put itself on the wider map?
I think keep building off the pitch. I mean, what you see here today, the concrete path went down pre-season, the fencing around the pitch, new floodlights, that sort of thing that we're doing off the pitch, that will certainly help us get into a position that if we ever were to be in the playoffs or top of the league in seasons to come, then we can go up. So that's really important. But I think to get on the level of the others, we've got to do that off the pitch and then obviously build ourselves on the pitch, because it's really difficult coming up first year. But if we can keep building momentum, then there's no reason why we can't join the sides that you're talking about higher up the league. So
no, completely agree. Well, listen, as I say, it wasn't meant to be on the pitch today, but overall, I think you've got a setup that you can be really proud of.
Definitely.
I think you've had a season that you can be really proud of. And I think that the future is really bright for AFC North Kilworth.
I do appreciate that, and I hope you've enjoyed your trip.
Oh, absolutely have, mate. Thank you for having me, and I wish you the very best of luck for the rest of the season. And no doubt I'll be back at some point to check on your progress.
Hopefully so.
Cheers, Nick. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Good man.
Well, it wasn't to be on the pitch today, unfortunately, as Ingles ran out winners in what was a really physical, dogged battle contested by two very committed sides. Whilst it wasn't Killy's day on the pitch, there's so much for this club to be positive about. What this club has achieved on the pitch, in addition to all the structural improvements off the pitch, has contributed to a solid foundation for future success and ultimately to ensure the club is here for years to come. Huge thanks go out to everyone at the club for having me. Thank you to everyone for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.